Let's get into it now. A spoiler-free movie review of Despicable Me 4.
There you go.
Finally got it right. The premise of this movie is pretty easy. The family is back. They now have a baby, Gru Jr., and he hates his dad. He torments him. He loves the mom, doesn't love Gru. So Gru spends pretty much the entire movie trying to win the love of his son.
That's like my youngest brother.
That he hated everybody in the beginning.
Truly, for like 4 years.
You guys couldn't even go out to dinner because he would just scream.
No, he would. He was the type of kid that he was like, when I'm done eating, everyone at this table is done eating. And if you don't take me out of here, everyone in this restaurant will be done eating. So we did a lot of Chili's to go pick up.
Your little brother was Gru Jr.
He was. You've met him.
Yeah. So it starts out with their reunion from 1985.
At the villain school.
The villain school. And Gru tries to arrest the roach guy named Maxime.
Yes.
He gets thrown into prison, and then he escapes prison, and they have to go into hiding because he's going to come and, well, we don't know what's going to happen to Gru, but he's going to come get revenge on him.
Yes.
So they have to go into hiding to this place called Mayflower, and then they have to take on some new identities and pretty much just hide out, which how can you hide out as being Gru, so distinguishable and so weird.
And having like 7 minions live with you.
Yeah, that's the part they didn't explain. It's like, okay, the family has to go. They have to get new names, but you're allowed to take 3 of the minions with you.
3 of the minions.
Like, people aren't going to put the pieces together from the minions.
And the rest of them went to work for the Anti-Villain League. They were terrible at their jobs.
Which the Despicable Me movies really have the same format.
Yeah.
You have a villain introduced who is going to have some evil plan that involves them encountering Gru, them having to take down the villain, and then the minions always have like a B plot that ends up being my favorite part of it.
I have a soft spot in my heart for the minions.
And what this movie introduces is the Mega Minions.
Yes.
Which they get these superpowers, which their B plot is almost a parody of superhero movies, which I think is why I found this movie so funny.
Yeah, the super minions.
They're kind of like an Avengers Fantastic Four X-Men hybrid. One of them has like a laser beam, which is kind of like Cyclops. One of them is pretty much literally the Thing because he's big and made of bricks. I guess one of them is kind of like Superman a little bit.
Yeah.
And then there is just a scene for scene parody of Spider-Man 2 whenever he stops the bus or the rail car. He did that in Spider-Man with his web, but in this one his arms are stretchy, so he does that. I thought that was great. A parody of Spider-Man 2. I feel like Despicable Me is kind of, in a way, bringing back like the parody animated movie, filling the void that is Shrek.
I mean, the first Despicable Me came out in 2010.
Which is wild.
And now we've done 4 Despicable Me's and 2 separate Minions movies.
It's a multi-billion-dollar franchise at this point.
And it's still going. And here I am, a 30-something-year-old adult, and we
still
enjoyed
enjoying it. But I do feel that now, after watching this one, I realize how much younger the audience leans, like what they target towards.
Yes.
Which I feel like in the beginning maybe wasn't the case, but I was also 14 years younger when those movies came out. But now I can see how they are so much different than, say, an Inside Out 2, which we also saw, just a few weeks ago. How that movie, I feel, is almost more for adults because I don't know that a kid is going to get all the themes from Inside Out 1 or 2.
This kid also hasn't probably felt all the feelings.
Yeah, so I feel like that's almost now more towards adults. But I think what Illumination does great with movies like this or Migration or the Super Mario Brothers movie is just making fun movies for kids. And also where it's not so focused on the human element. That's why you have the minions. I feel like when you take the humans out of it, it just becomes more fun because it's more fun and cuddly and dumb.
Yeah.
And there's also what kids love, a good fart joke. Yes. All the time. They're filled with fart jokes.
Filled with fart jokes.
And it's also a movie that the main character isn't necessarily a good person because he's a villain.
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes it funny.
He's become he's a reformed family man now.
But if you look at it, he's still a villain. He still does bad things.
Yeah.
So in addition, I think what also sets this movie apart, the franchise as a whole, is the voice acting is really good.
I was going to say we had great additions to this one.
Will Ferrell plays the new bad guy. His wife is played by Sofia Vergara, who is also... I feel like, put so much more into this role than normally when you get animated movies like this that aren't Disney or Pixar. they just grab big celebrities and they essentially do their same voice, and it feels like they put no effort into it. But I feel like to be in a Despicable Me movie, you have to like really take pride in it. Like Will Ferrell is, you can't really tell it's him because he's doing an accent and it's so animated all over the place. Sofia Vergara, like her,
you know it's her,
but it's also,
it fits the role.
And it's more cartoonish. It's amped up a little bit. It's not just her reading lines off a piece of paper.
And then you have, when they moved into Mayflower, there's a house next door, and then there's like a whole plot with that daughter wants to become a villain. She's voiced by Joey King, who's just doing a lot of press tours this month.
Yeah.
And then her mom is voiced by Chloe Fineman. And I love Chloe Fineman.
And then on the family side, you have everybody returning. Steve Carell, like we talked about.
Kristen Wiig.
And then Miranda Cosgrove, who is also now in her 30s, still playing a kid.
Yeah.
Which I feel like, I love what they said going into this movie, that they have decided to just freeze all of them in time. None of them age. They remain kids. I think that is great. I feel like maybe once they get to Despicable Me, like 9 or 10, maybe they age them up a little bit. But I feel like that's what makes these movies great. You know, going into it exactly what it's going to be. You're going to get the laughs from the Minions, although I do feel like they spoke a little bit less in this one.
Yeah, I wanted more Minions.
Like, I wanted more Minion quotes, just because I think that's always our favorite part, because they speak a hybrid of gibberish and Spanish. And it's funny that...
Sí, gato.
That was my favorite part, gato. And then the director and creator of the Minions is actually the one who does all the voices of them.
Yes.
Which he didn't direct this one, but he was a director and co-director on the first 3, and I think both of the Minions movies, but this one, different director, but he still does the voice for it. It was a little bit more slapstick in this one because there was a lot of them like slapping each other's butts or doing other dumb things, of like the whole gag of the one being stuck in the vending machine throughout the entire movie was funny. It's also like their misdirection on jokes. Oh, this would be the obvious thing for them to do, but then they do the complete opposite.
Like, also, I think about as we get closer in age to having kids in the next few years, like, I want to also enjoy the movie we're taking our kids to.
Yeah.
I don't want to be bored.
Which I feel this one had the most adult joke in a kid's movie in a while.
Funny. That was funny.
Wherever the youngest daughter has a pet goat, and she's trying to teach the goat tricks, and she tells it to sit, and it poops on the floor.
And she's like, I said sit.
And none of the kids got it in the movie. And I was like, hey, they really went for it there.
Yeah. Kind of reminded me of the Shrek.
Wipe your...
Shine your shoes. Please stay off of the grass. Shine your shoes. Wipe your face. Yeah.
And going back to my favorite part of them parodying the superhero movie is they kind of made a commentary on like people being sick of superhero movies. And like whenever superheroes, quote unquote, save the city, they usually leave the city in ruins.
Destroyed.
Which was funny because on the flight back from Arizona, I started watching the first Avengers, and I like skipped to the end, the final battle scene. And it's like them saving New York City, but when you look at all the collateral damage, it's literally in ruins. Like all the buildings are torn down, everything's on fire. I feel like they should make a superhero movie
where they clean the city.
Or they have to take into account that maybe they have so many strikes against them. Like, hey, last time you saved the city, you literally destroyed it. You have to be very cautious of what you are doing, where you are throwing people. Because you know when they throw some of these villains into like a building, they're killing people in there. And they don't mention that. You know some people have taken some hits. And I think The Boys on Amazon probably comments on that a little bit. But they should do a superhero movie where they have to clean up afterwards, but also you can't freaking tear down a building to save one person and take out the villain.
You should write that one.
I'll work on it right now.
Okay.
So overall, what would you rate Minion? Ah, dang it! I almost said it again.
Despicable Me.
Despicable Me 4.
I'm gonna give it a solid 3.
That is exactly where I'm at on this one.
Yeah.
Because
it's right in the middle.
It's not as good as I would say the first 2, which I feel...
Because they were also novel.
They were novel then, but I feel like the first 2 had more just big, elaborate action, more adventure. And I feel like overall that really established like all those characters where you really got to know them. They really actually went through changes in that. A little bit more going through the motions on this one. I almost feel like the level of the story was probably more of like an episode of a TV show, but it was kind of stretched out. It was still enjoyable and still fun, but I feel that now they're kind of just stretching out the franchise of making them again and again, which it has been a while since they made one. For me, I think I want another Minions movie before I want another Despicable Me, just because I
want more Minions.
I just find them funnier when they're at the center of it, even though they don't speak a whole lot. That you get a lot more out of it because
when they do speak, it's funny.
It's hilarious. So I think I'm more curious in them as just minions doing minion things than I am what the family is actually going through right now. And with them not aging the family, I don't know that they could go on another adventure with the baby. And
I feel like we'll still keep getting them. Illumination's going to ride that cash cow for a while.
That's true. They're just making them a lot of money.
They're going to keep riding that train.
But yeah, I'm a solid 3 out of 5. I think if you have young kids, they're going to love it in theaters. And I think...
I will say Despicable Me 4 was better than Kung Fu Panda 4.
Yeah. That's what I also feel like when it comes to some of these kids' movies is they're going way beyond like the classic, like just trilogy of them. Like, hey, make a 4, make a 5, make a 6.
Some of them are past their shelf life.
Yeah,
we don't need another one. But this one was good.
Kung Fu Panda should have been 1, 2, 3. No need for 4. Toy Story, I feel should have ended at 3.
Are we doing 4. A 5?
We're doing 5. Probably gonna do 6.
Ooh.
Despicable Me is the only one I feel that is up there and been around so long that it's still gonna be good.
It's still good. Still good.
Still good. All right, that is our thoughts on Despicable Me.